What you are about to experience is out of this world. Politics, history, and of course, a lot of entertainment. It's time to rock it with the Docket. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with another exciting episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. So, a tragedy has happened in the United States of America, as on January 31st, an American Airlines plane was flying normally. It was about to land when an Army helicopter crashed into it. This ended up killing 64 passengers in the plane and also killing 3 United States soldiers in the helicopter. Now, when this happened, people mourned for the family for about 5 seconds until they started pointing fingers and jumping to conclusions about what actually happened in the skies that night over DC. The biggest person that was blamed for this crash that happened was, of course, the newly elected president of the United States, Donald Trump. Apparently, he didn't have his superpowers on, so he couldn't control each and every airplane in the sky. Even though this was the end of Donald Trump's very first week in office, and this was literally the first or second day for the new transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, still, it is somehow this administration's fault for these planes crashing into each other. People have been making false claims on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels, wherever they can make their voices heard. Now it looks like I have to come in here and make a whole episode debunking these different leftist lies. Now, the question is, why are people blaming Donald Trump for this plane crash? Once again, like I already said, it's not like he can hold different planes in the sky or he somehow made the pilots fly in the same airspace as each other. Well, the left claimed that Trump firing the FAA director, the head of the TSA, along with the Coast Guard director, and also disbanded the Aviation Security Advisory Committee all had a part in these planes colliding. Well, interesting enough, the last FAA director actually quit his job on Inauguration Day. And yes, it is true that he was pressured by Elon Musk to step down. But if he believed that his job was so important, then he could have stayed at the job a little bit longer. Also, when a new president comes in, people leave all the time. People step down, there's different acting secretaries, there's different people. Everything is getting shuffled around after the inauguration. People are getting fired, people are getting promoted, people are going through confirmation hearings. It's a lot of different things and a lot of different pieces moving at this time. Along with that, the TSA director and also the TSA are responsible for the security screening of passengers, cargo, and aviation workers, not the operation of the airplane. There's no way that the leader of the TSA could have controlled these different flights. Now, if this plane would have blown up in the sky, and they looked into it and they said there was a bomb on the plane and TSA missed it, then I would understand this 100%. But once again, TSA has absolutely nothing to do with how different planes fly. Along with that, the Coast Guard focuses on maritime security. Once again, it has nothing to do with airplanes flying in the sky. It has nothing to do with these planes. Along with that, the Coast Guard focuses on maritime security. Once again, it had nothing to do with airplanes in the sky. So if Donald Trump wouldn't have fired the FAA director, the TSA director, or the Coast Guard director, this accident still would have happened because these different positions, these different jobs have nothing to do with airplanes flying in the sky. Last but not least, the Aviation Security Advisory Committee advises the TSA administrator on aviation security. And now this is the real kicker. The group only meets 4 times a year. How? Tell me how this security group could have prevented this accident from happening. They couldn't. None of these different people, like I already said, could have prevented this from happening. It was an accident. Another point that the left keeps making is that Donald Trump froze or stopped hiring different air traffic controllers. This is a bunch of crap. As yes, it is true that Donald Trump signed an executive order freezing different federal employees from getting hired, and there were many exemptions to this different executive order. The exemptions included military personnel positions related to immigration enforcement, national security, or public safety. And the White House has already come out and claimed that air traffic controllers would have been exempt from this executive order because of their importance to public safety. This means that the FAA, or air traffic controllers, could have been hired at this time. People have also claimed that Trump fired 400 senior officers of the FAA and 3,000 air traffic controllers. The 3,000 number may have come from a shortage that these different air traffic controllers are having, as there are 3,000 different jobs that need to be filled for air traffic controllers. These are positions that need to be filled, not people that Donald Trump or his government decided to fire. Aviation experts have also claimed, and I quote, Trump had done little that could have precipitated the crash between the airplane and the helicopter, claiming that there was simply too little time for all of Trump's executive orders to take place. AKA, Trump or anyone else in the government could not have prevented this from happening unless they had deja vu or could see into the future. Speaking of executive orders, Trump also signed an executive order called Keeping Americans Safe in Aviation. Its main purpose was to get rid of DEI hiring and focusing more on merit-based hiring. Now, this, like everything else that has been happening for the past 2 weeks, made the left go into a tailspin. Because to them, DEI somehow means that a black person can't do a job. A person that is LGBTQAAIPP2S can't do a job. And that's simply not true. And they are also claiming that this plane crash wouldn't have happened if everyone in the situation was white and male. And that's not true either. DEI simply means hiring people just because you have to check a certain box. Not because they are qualified, but because they meet a different quota. Once again, just like the whole firefighter situation that I talked about a few weeks back, if you're an air traffic controller, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what you look like, I don't care who you sleep with. All I want is to get on an airplane with the confidence knowing that someone is watching the skies who knows exactly what they're doing. Whether they're black, white, brown, Asian, I don't care. Just do your job and do your job correctly. That's all I ask. And now Donald Trump himself even talked about this during a press conference after the accident happened. Take a look at this.
Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it.
Once again, he is saying the exact same thing I'm saying. He doesn't care what they look like. He wants the best. He wants the brightest. He doesn't care if they're black or brown or whatever. He wants people that are competent and know what they are doing. Not people that have stress or anxiety, because this is a very stressful job and can really hurt people and their mind. And also, all of the things that Donald Trump said actually sounds really good. We need to have the best people doing this job. And you can see when you watch that speech that every single person that got up there talked about merit-based hiring. J.D. Vance did. Sean Duffy did. They all focused on saying that they want merit-based. They want the best of the best, so then situations like this don't ever happen again. And speaking of that, this is the most important part, I believe, as I don't believe that Trump is blaming DEI for this happening. As in, if a white man were controlling the helicopter, that this wouldn't have happened. Or if a white person was controlling the airplane, that this wouldn't have happened. What Donald Trump is simply saying is that if we continue to hire based on these DEI situations, then different situations like this are more likely to happen. People that are unqualified will cause more accidents like this to happen. And it is just sad to think that the FAA has struggled to hire people for years. Heck, they have a 3,000 person shortage, which I talked about just recently. Instead of hiring people that are merit-based, the FAA has claimed that the people that they were hiring were too much of one race or one color. So they decided to change the test from a skill-based system to a biographic assessment. This led to a lawsuit where 1,000 people claimed that they were turned away from the job as an air traffic controller because of their race and or their gender. Even though, according to these 1,000 applicants, they passed the aviation test with flying colors. They were great candidates, but they were turned away because of their race or gender. We need these people to be air traffic controllers. It is not about the race or the sex of the different person. It is about if that person, once again, can do this job. And if they can do this job, I don't care what they look like, get them in there. And here we are. People are now dead because of this. The person that was in charge of the air traffic controlling during this situation was doing a job of 2 people. Why? Why can't we have another person there? Why is it only one person in this very stressful job where lives are on the line? We need to make sure 100% that people are in this job and they can do this job and they can do it well. Not just because they mark a box, but because they have competence and have good merits. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.